Okay.
Go ahead.
How are you? All right. So I think we'll go ahead and get started tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming. Doug informed me that this is our sixth meeting on this topic. And so I would really like to get to a decision tonight. We're going to try really hard to get there. I think we're about there. We've asked all the questions. I just want to, thank the council for being so thoughtful about how we allocate this money. But I'm hoping tonight to get through this agenda in time for Courtney to still be able to vote by 7:45. And one thing I would ask, I know, that's what I'm saying.
6:45.
I know. That would be even better. We'll take that, John. I will say that I just want to ask everybody, we've kind of discussed a lot of things on this topic ad nauseum, and that, unless you have new things to bring up, I let's not rehash old stuff if we can. So I will ask that. And then I will say I did reach out to both Suzanne and John. John called me right before the meeting and isn't going to be able to make it tonight, but wanted me to share that he said that his first thing at the meeting tonight would be to call for adjournment. So I wanted to share that with the council. And he also said that he would vote no on all the projects. So just for people's information, that we have that one. I did not hear back from Suzanne. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and get started here and see if we can get to a decision tonight.
All right, well, thank you, Elizabeth. So once again, we've seen this before. This is a hybrid meeting. We do have Sister Mary Jo is online, as well as some other folks. So when we do talk, if you please state your name. I am Doug Martin, by the way, and get recognized by the chair. Same thing for folks in the audience. If we ask you your question or you speak, if you would please state your name so we know who that is. Quick summary of the agenda. You do have that in front of you, and there are copies on the front desk for any of the visitors that are here. I will do a quick summary of all the projects, update anything that we know that has changed on some of the materials that we provided to you back in August. We'll go through those. I do have a couple of slides at the end that will prompt the council for discussion and making recommendations on an alternative of what to select, or to help you make a recommendation to the governor for consideration. And then the last action item, in the 2019 amendment, there was a provision in that amendment that this council would expire in 5 years, which was in 2024, actually. So we do need to hear from you on a recommendation of whether you would like this council to continue. So that is the last item on the agenda. So with that, I am starting with this slide, and I'll end with this slide. This is an updated slide. This is very similar to what you got in August, on August 18th, that we sent out. I will let you know that at the very top, the current fund balance for the BAO fund has been updated with the dollar amount. Miranda just finished doing her year-end invested cash report. So that is the newest number as of last week. I will go through all of these projects and we'll talk about where we are. As far as the top component and the committed and funds, alternative one is if there were projects that were to fund our administrative costs, D would be more because we'd be spending more. If you see on the right side, the 86,000 or less, because we'll be spending less at that point. But besides that, I will go through all of the other projects that are listed here. Oops, you gotta put this.
Sorry, I didn't mute somebody real quick.
Okay. So as far as the Butte proposed, the 10-year at first, but then they came back and revised it to a 2-year meter program. I did get these numbers, from Zane. They are updated numbers, approximately $850,000 for a 2-year program to install meters, purchase the meters and to pay, Butte Silverbow staff to actually install them. A lot of the other costs that Zane provided in the handout, and there's an updated one. John McKee had a question for you guys, or for Butte Silverbow on their proposal, and we did print out the handout. It is in your, we sent it out earlier, but it's also, we gave you a hard copy. So it would be installing approximately 850 meters. At the end of the day, it's going to cost about $850,000. One of the things that they are proposing is that $500,000 in some grant fund to incentivize to get more meters in. This is the Basin Creek Recreation Project that Sean has spoken about. This is to improve the access component to the Basin Creek Park out there, putting in a new parking lot, putting in latrines, putting in a new pavilion for recreational purposes out there. Their cost estimate was $888,000. But at the second to the last meeting, they did talk about potentially removing the log, upgrading or doing restoration on the log pavilion. That was about $150,000. So the revised cost estimate for that was approximately $730,000. And there is over $1 million in the recreation component at this point in that category. The projects that, and let me know if I'm going too fast. I see people squinting. But anyways, on the Butte Alluvial Aquifer Restoration Project, the only project that we're actually proposing at this point is using 3 groundwater wells and pumping it part-time. I did update this cost estimate. I did work with Josh Vincent. Jim had done some work on this, and Josh, I had Josh look at it. He did note that when we presented this last time, this was approximately $1.8 million total cost. The cost has gone up for a couple reasons. One, the pipe installation was left out of the last cost estimate. That's something that Josh bought. So that was an additional $250,000. One of the things that Courtney asked us to add in is what is our time for working on this project. So I did add the NRDP project management, and that's a footnote there. That's assuming approximately 400 hours a year for 10 years. We would assume that this pump and treat system would, or this pumping system, we're not treating, this pumping system would work for approximately 10 years. We also added in the startup time and maintenance so that all those costs are included there. So this project would cost approximately $2.4 million at the end of those 10 years after it was installed. I forgot one thing. I'll just talk about it. There were 2 other projects that we needed to follow up on, the 2 Blacktail Creek projects. We had the Blacktail Creek investigation, which is basically from the Blacktail Creek project that DEQ is working on upstream, and it's part of the Westside Soils Operable Unit. We had conversations with EPA, Emma, about our comments that we had submitted, that there was additional data there that we thought that more investigation needed to be done there because of their sampling. Emma looked at that data and she agreed with that, and EPA is going to require more and do more sampling in the Blacktail Creek area. So on one hand, that's good. We don't have to propose that here. So that was a $250,000 project that we had listed here. So we did take that off. The Blacktail Creek, stream restoration project that's located south of the interstate on the golf course, and then south of the sewer line on the Butte Silver Bowl property. We had that up here, for $100,000 with the uncertainty because we didn't know what the bids were. The bids came in very good. So we actually pulled that from consideration here. So we did take off those two projects, for approximately $350,000. Elizabeth did ask me, to provide a fund update. And Miranda cannot make it tonight, so I'm not gonna go into great detail on this. John's smiling at me. Thanks for the smile anyways.
All right. I agree on it.
The biggest thing that, I wanted to point out is the fund balance. The fund balance is, that $5.6 million. So that's what we started to have to work with, and that's what we're working with, today is approximately $5.6 million. If you do look at this, we did add a couple of lines here or columns, for things that you have asked about, and it's the BAO administration, that 10,220, the Central Services Division, that 10,109, and the Natural Resource Damage Program admin 1001. So we added those three columns just to let you know those three columns, because they are in the general expenses, liabilities, and revenue column. They are the sum of the categories. So you don't take the categories where there is minuses there and add all of those up together. Those three columns equal what's in the category column. Does that make sense?
So those three numbers are represented by the what, 5 numbers that are in the category?
Yeah, so, and I apologize for people online, but if you look at the general liabilities, because I'm pointing at the screen now, you take the waste all the way over to small projects. If you add up those 5 numbers, they equal these 3 numbers. I made the mistake of doing that where I added them all up together, looking at expenses. And so, but that's how those numbers come from that. Miranda will explain it to you later. But I didn't want to go into depth on the budget. The biggest thing with the budget is how much money do we have to spend today? We have $5.6 million. I'm going to hesitate there and ask if there's any questions because I can see. Do you have a question, John?
Well, just to put it in context, I mean, I don't want to, in deference to the chair, Madam Chair, I'm not going to bring up old wounds. But we would just ask for clear and concise information going forward on how much money the BAO fund is covering for these three sets of costs: BAO administration, Central Services Division, and then NRD admin activity. And continue to provide us with the data of those costs that BAO is covering as part of the whole, and what the other NRDP programs are covering to make up your full nut on your administrative overhead. Now, I do have one question on the NRDP admin. Am I to assume that that is for direct costs that personnel under your charge spend on BAO activities?
No, this is what we thought. So the BAO activities come under the BAO general.
Oh, okay, so, excuse me. And under that heading, what's the relationship with BAO general administration activity and under your committed costs, the amount of money you want to participate in the priority soils remedial design.
So this was, we had 91,000 in 2025, and
You're projecting $100,000 a year.
100,000 for this,
So that's that money.
that's that money, yes.
So this
So-
is for the CD stuff.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So am I to assume then that under alternative one, the 520,000 is the closeout costs for just the second and third column on this chart?
Yes, that's what those, yes, on this table here, you are correct, so that's based on a percentage on this table though. In your packet, you have the wording that explains how D was calculated.
Yeah, so Madam Chair, I would just ask, and the director, that it would appear to me that I would ask that the $300,000 estimate that we get current and detailed information on a quarterly basis of how much you're spending for that task, A, and as it relates to the other two columns, how it relates to the whole to support your program. I think we need to see that information on a regular basis to get comfortable that the BAO is paying a fair share of the costs relative to the other programs.
And, yeah, I mean, as we talked about before, I believe it is.
What?
I believe it is.
I know you believe it is, and you will agree then to keep us
Yeah,
well
we
informed.
will keep you informed. Yeah.
Thank you.
So as part of that information, we would like to see what are the things that have been done that go to that, just so we can be
Yeah,
clear.
actually, yeah,
We worked on,
Yep.
this plan or whatever.
right.
Okay, well, one other question, so we're now to the point where we kind of were looking at these costs for projects and that one is based on 3 years of time. Is that correct? For the 100,000
Yes. it is. Yes.
for 3
Yeah,
years?
Yes,
Okay.
in that, I did not put it on the screen, it's in the narrative there, and that's not
Right.
printed, it is based on those 3 years.
Okay, I'm sure we were clear.
And have we completed one of those 3 years?
Well, we haven't started the project yet.
No, with respect to A. You estimated, we've seen this chart for now 10 months, and you estimated $100,000 a year. Is that to start when? July?
Well,
1st?
it would start whenever we did the amendment or whatever we started moving on this.
Yeah, but you have indicated to us that the committed costs are not under any kind of debate. They're happening, anyway. And so I was just wondering, point being, we hope that it is far less expensive for NRDP staff to participate in the priority soils implementation of the remedy. And we would just ask you, as the director, to watch those costs and keep them, not only report to this committee, but, to keep them as low as you can.
So one other comment, I feel like I have to do this because John's not here tonight, John McKee. The 5 numbers, that add up to the 3 numbers that we had on that, they're not the same number. So the 5 numbers add up to 182, 242, and the 3 numbers are 194. So there's about 12,000
Oh,
different.
yes.
Okay.
There is 12,000 difference, and that is,
Central services.
yes, central services is the difference.
Okay,
They get you coming and going there, Madam Chair.
Yeah. No, Miranda actually told me about and warned me on that, and I forgot that 12,000, yes.
okay. So the 12,000 is those 5 numbers plus 12,000?
Yes,
Is it?
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Okay, All right, any other questions from the council?
Well, cutting to the next
Go ahead.
chart. If in fact we do not pursue all of the projects under proposed projects, will any of those projections for committed costs come down?
Yes, so the line D would go down because those projections are based on expenditures. So that's how we figure out our administrative, plan. We talked about that. So, you know, doesn't matter what fund we're working on. You know, if there's expenditures there or it takes a large amount of staff time, that fund pays a greater proportion of the administrative time. So that's why if there are no projects selected, the administrative time goes down considerably.
Thank you.
Those costs. And it would be the same thing if you decide not to do the aquifer, which is the largest. If you decide not to recommend that, which is the largest one, it would go down proportionally. So that's my presentation on the projects and where we are. Does anybody have any questions on projects? I know Zane and Sean are here if anybody has questions for them. Okay, so I do have a slide that talks about, you know, we can go to a motion now, but I do think that this slide here is, you know, will help with that. What I have done is propose, you know, two alternatives. Alternative one would be making a recommendation of the committed cost and all the projects or a subset of those projects. Alternative two would be just doing, you know, the committed costs, which are honoring our current contracts that we have with New Silver Bow and Montana Tech, doing the CD compliance and no projects. So I will turn it over to you, Elizabeth.
So, we are at the point now where, if someone would like to make a motion on, alternative one or alternative two, that vote.
Madam Chair, I would take a stab at a
Okay.
motion. I would move that the council approve and recommend alternative one. Moving forward with the committed costs as stipulated and with the proviso that Director Martin will do his best to control, to his best of his abilities, row A on the CD compliance activity. And that row D will be reported to us clearly and consistently as related to the proposed projects that we recommend. And I'll reduce this later. I'm trying to get some discussion going. And then I would move that the committee approve items 4, 4A, and 5 as proposed projects to move forward. I would make the case to Doug that we might be able to go forward without a plan amendment, but that's something we'll discuss later. So that the alternative one, we would move alternative one and included in alternative one committed costs and proposed projects 4, 4A, which I think are one project, and project 5.
Do we have any discussion on that motion?
I would, I think I would, agree with most of that. I would also like to see something, informationally, it's probably not 20 grand worth of work, but for the parrot, what went on there, a little history. I think that was one of Pat's wishes, and I would like to honor that wish. I also agree that I would cut out project one.
Any further discussion on council on that motion?
This is Courtney Young. My only comment is I'm okay with everything at this point. If we need to sum the dollars that we've approved, make sure that the dollars are available. If they're not, then we must not allow Montana Tech that contingency or anybody. We're gonna have to control the contingency. Cause if we don't have any money, there's no room for charging us more than we don't have.
I don't think Montana, and maybe Robert's with us tonight. I don't think they've ever charged us a contingency.
Even so, it's written in there that they can, and we need to retract that. If there's no money, if we spend everything, that's all that's all I need to say.
Madam Chair, perhaps a question is in order. John says, so does the 202-767 include or exclude the contingency? For Montana Tech?
This is Doug, and I'm also looking at Ray Binky and Robert in the back. I don't believe it does. That is the contract amount that we have as a contract with Montana Tech.
Yeah, that's correct.
And just to answer here, to talk to you, Courtney, about the amount. If you were just looking at, projects 3, 4, and 5, that will be well below the available funding.
Well, that's the map that I'm making, but
Yeah,
I'm doing it all in my head.
no, we will make sure that's the case too, but that's actually all of these projects with the $2.4 million add up to 4. So there's definitely,
Still room.
there would be approximately $3 million.
But now, so the alternative one with the 3 projects or 4 projects now that we're talking about, the closeout administration costs up there would not apply because we're not closing out. We haven't spent all the money.
That's correct. Line D would be just the percentage of the expenditures from the projects. They're based on that, based on the amount of money that's spent. So right now it's projected on the number, including the $2.4 million. It would not be,
Yeah. So just for those projects, I mean, we could estimate it, we got $86,000 based on the committed costs, correct?
yes.
So would it be somewhere around 100,000? Maybe a little more,
I'd have to look at so I can get
Okay.
that information to you.
Okay.
I'm not,
but just roughly, probably? Instead of
yeah,
520, it's roughly 100,000.
Look, Madam Chair,
Mhm.
I would look at it a little bit differently. The $520,000 bill
Mhm.
represents, best I can understand it, is columns, the second and third column on this chart of NRD expenses, which is roughly half. Okay, so I would say half of the 520,000 is gonna be spent by the NRD program, whether we do anything or not. Okay, and they don't want us to spend that money, and the other half, about 260,000, is directly related to the execution of projects 1 through 5.
Right,
If you take out 1,
which is the
which
biggest,
is about half of it,
yeah,
and you basically take out half of the 260. So it might be reduced by 130,000 if and when,
So roughly
the final
100,000.
tally.
Yeah.
So half of a half is, I think, what would be less, but that would be per, Courtney's request. And we wanna see that. We wanna see that on a regular basis. We wanna see that quarterly. We wanna see that, especially when you react this, based on the motion that we pass.
And what we can do is, and what we will do is we will, rework this with those, whatever your recommendation ends up being. We will rework this table with that.
And do the recount on road P.
Yes, that, what I'm saying, guys, we'll recalculate this whole table.
Right.
Robert and I just did a little quick work on Excel just to see where the numbers came out for you guys.
With row B,
Yeah, so
your
what we,
program,
so, so we added,
Right. Let's let Miranda do that, please.
okay,
Just because she's the one that knows those numbers. I'd rather put good numbers on to the public than.
and I just do
we
we
just added columns and rows.
we're good with the 202. That's under contract. If there's a contingency, if more good work could be done, just come back and ask for more. And we'll take that under advisement at that time.
Right, because there will be funds.
Any other questions on the motion at hand? Anything from the public? Go ahead.
Eric Counselor with Beach Over Bow. I don't know if it's a question so much about the motion, but I'm still a little confused as to where the financing or funding is for the long-term operations and maintenance aspect of the parrot as it is today. The fence removal, I know that was part of it. If folks come down at some point, we're, going to discuss with you the task of us taking care of the place in the forever. I just don't see that through all of this, and we'd like a little clarification where that might be coming from.
So
I'm
this Doug Martin, Eric, the parent reimbursement, when we reimburse the various funds from the parent, we left $500,000 in the parent fund to deal with those
Okay,
issues.
thank you very much.
Madam Chair, I would just ask, maybe, row 4 under proposed project is tight. We can see that in black and white on the budget. The distribution of $500,000 is less described, if you will. There's some general explanations in the proposal that was produced in May. But I wonder if we might ask the Butte Silver Bowl team if they had done anything more on how they were going to decide who was eligible for the grant for the interior work that would be performed to make the installation of the meter viable for those homeowners.
Julia Crane, Butte Silver Bow. So we didn't spend a significant amount of time proposing the exact procedure that we would use when establishing the grant program, mainly because establishing a grant program does take some time to make sure that it works well for the public and it meets your requirements. So I believe in the previous presentation that I participated in earlier this year, we had talked about the use of a median family income level, 80% of median family income, so that we could identify who actually can demonstrate financial need that may be constraining their discretionary income to make improvements in their property. Butte Silver Bow has successfully implemented a number of grant programs using funds that have been provided from the federal government. An example of that is the ARPA grant program. We have established the Superfund Advisory and Redevelopment Trust Authority grant program, The urban renewal areas offer grants that are also administered by staff at Butte Silverbow. And I think with some internal collaboration among the budget and finance office and our colleagues in planning, in Department of Reclamation, and in community development, we would be able to work with our legal staff to establish a protocol or a procedure for that application process that we would establish what type of documentation we would need from an applicant for that program, how we would hold on to the receipts for their payments so that we can make sure that we're reimbursing them for the amount that they paid to a contractor, and then provide that documentation on a quarterly basis with our reimbursement requests to the BNRC, as is customary with the tree program or the Big Beat Open Space program. I think we can all say collectively that we would be happy to, as we are working on formulating those elements of work internally at Butte Silverbow, and in recognition of the partnership that we have as a local government and BNRC working for restoration initiatives here in Butte, that we would bring those materials back to you for your approval before we implemented them publicly, so that we know that what we're trying to do as a partner with you to implement this program in the community, that we have your buy-in and your approval as well.
And I'll just, one other, just to add on to that. And we would, work with the state of Montana. I know that they've just provided property tax relief, so they have a lot of data on income levels. And so we figure we can work with the Department of Revenue or other state agencies to, as another check to make sure we're providing meters to the correct income levels for the grant program.
Thank you.
Elizabeth,
Go ahead, sister.
Mary Jo, wishing to comment.
Go ahead, sister.
Okay, that area is one that I have great concern about when we talk about, we're going to make sure the middle income are taken care of. What you need to do is take care of the low income. Those folks are the ones that are going to need the help, and they will not know how to access the help. And so I think it behooves us to make sure, if we agree to this operation, that we make sure that the low income are the priority of the grant program, because they are the ones who will have the most need for that. Middle income people, you bet, they might need some help, but they won't need the help like the low income will have a need of. And so I would like to tie down the fact that the focus will be the low income people. And there are guides for that. We know where they are and you can get hold of them. That's not hard. And they are the ones who will not know how to access a lot of things. And so perhaps there also needs to be a caveat, if we're using funding from us for this project, a caveat that one individual from the water company will be assigned to monitor and will be assigned to research who the low income people are who are going to be getting meters, whether they want them or not. And that's would be a caveat I'd like to see put into this whole project.
Could you,
That sounds good.
Chair Erickson, this is Julia Crane again. I think that makes perfect sense. We cannot base someone's salary off of this they're reporting. There may be some type of disclosure we may need from them in their application to demonstrate their need. And so we would, I think Sean made an excellent suggestion, and I think we could also work with the city county treasurer to understand a little bit more about those conditions as well. We have partners that work with low-income populations at Action Inc. and other low-income service providers that could possibly help us to really round this out.
Sounds good. And so sister, are you talking about sort of a sliding scale where based on income below the median level? Is that what I'm trying to
That is
understand?
one aspect, but the other aspect is pulling in maybe Action Inc. to be a part of this, to determine whom they see so often in their client lists who will be in need of this help, and that they should become first before middle income people. I know middle income people are going to be suffering a lot in the future here. But right now, I believe it will be our poor who will not be able to manage meters and bills. Partly because their whole home probably needs to be redone with plumbing.
And this program, my understanding, is only voluntary. It's not, it will, I mean, it's only people that want to do it. Low income, whatever income, it's only voluntary.
Right.
Okay, just want to make sure that was clear.
Just to follow up on Sister's second, the first point is, let's focus on the people truly in need. Make sure we spend the money on those people first before we go up the income scale on eligibility. But the second point she made, I think, is very important, and that is the people that are in need are going to be least able to figure out how to access the program and the support. So they'll need an extra help. They need to be, it has to be explained to them in terms they understand. You have to reach out a little bit more aggressively to them to explain it to them, because they're just not going to get it otherwise. And then otherwise just say, no, I'm not doing that, not knowing the help that might be there for them. So it's two sides. Focus on the low income and focus on helping the low income access the program.
Yeah, I think it furthermore, Bill Callahan, I think it furthermore, we need to make sure that there is a, you know, as broad a output on what's available to these people as possible in the media, whatever it's gonna take, because there's a lot of folks that they don't read the paper, they don't do, you know, they don't do hardly anything. And so if we wanna, you know, take care of these folks and help them out and whatever else, they need to know about it. And that might be a little bit more difficult. I mean, you know, a lot of people get their news off social media, right? So maybe, I don't know, but that's important that we can get to, so.
I,
Go ahead there.
Madam Chair, Eric with Future Remote, I think the best about one of the most effective approaches we could take is actually put this right in their water bills. And that is an option that Future Remote has. They're all the utilize, we receive a bill, we can use a mailer in that format. We did it numerous times for other projects across Future Remote, and the explanation could be right in their water bill.
But we really appreciate the offer to come to us with detail now that we may be on the cusp of actually approving the project. Once you can dedicate some quality time to figuring out how exactly you'll do it, bring that back to us so we can take a peek and have comment as well.
This is Zane Gleason with Fiscal as well. We did recently just start another text message platform. This one's not emergency based, but once there's notifications of when we'll be working in an area, we could use that to get the word out as well.
Right. Sister, did you hear
Further
those?
comment. Would
Go
it be
ahead.
possible to involve Action Inc. into this $500,000 grant program with suggestions and help?
Do you see a role for Action Inc. in that? Go ahead.
I'll just speak. I mean, we work with Action Inc. all the time, so I don't think it was gonna be too much of a problem adding this to them and getting them involved. I'm thinking also our partners at the library, community action team. So yeah, I think we can bring all of them in. It's just another service
Right,
that we're trying to provide.
right.
Sorry, Sean Erickson with Pizza River.
All right. Go ahead, Courtney.
Just a couple of times we've made decisions by going out into the community and actually walking around. I'm going to speak for myself, but I actually wouldn't mind going out on one of your installations and observing, just see what's going on. I don't know if there's safety things, if, you know, whatever, but I certainly know how to abide by this.
I mean, I think, I don't want to speak for the water division, but it's been work, but I imagine that the invitation would be open to him.
I think for Courtney, though, it ought to be level A. Full respiration.
Three men in the Future Remote truck, why not?
I mean, I say this because I mean, I've seen it done in my own home. But I never paid attention. I went into the kitchen and started doing my own thing and, oh, we're done. But you know, when we did the stuff out at the Civic Center, that was spectacular. You know, and the community coming out and what have you. It was nice.
Okay,
So Doug, do you want me to restate it much simpler, now that we've discussed some of or you get what we're?
I think we do need to restate the motion because I know Emmett modified your motion, so I think it would be cleaner if we had a new motion that you guys could consider and then we could ask the public for comment on it. And
Okay.
vote on it. I think that would be a
Well, I consider,
Just a second, 1 second. Rough ballpark, I know Miranda's gotta figure all this stuff out, so the council has an idea of exactly where we're sitting. It's just a little bit less than $3 million, and that's including that 520,000 up there that's for online leading up there in that first part, so just a little bit less than about $3 million, so we kind of have a rough ballpark figure before we, so, sorry, John.
no, that's right. That's right. Basically, it's the 5.4 minus the 2.4 for the alluvial project. So I would, move again, consider Emmett's, comment, a friendly amendment. But I would move, alternative 1 as presented, really exclusive of table 2, line 1. The BAO alluvial aquifer restoration project. And subject to, NRDP staff presenting a work plan for project 3 on some type of explanatory, I don't know that memorial is the right word. Nobody died in the effort, but
just the.
the information, I'm assuming that you're talking about some type of informational poster or plaque, along and in the area of the walking trail near the parrot tailings. And it's hard for me to, believe that it'll cost $20,000 to design, build and install it. But bring us a proposal whenever it's ready. So we have at least some sense of the ultimate cost of that project. That's, I think, the shorthand I can go with
Okay.
the motion.
Right?
Second.
Perfect. Do we have any discussion, questions from the public, from the council? Seeing none? I think we can go ahead for a vote. All right, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Hi,
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Except for John McKee.
Well,
He's not here.
so it's both. It's a unanimous motion of the board.
Right.
Yes.
And I'll just comment that when we do things like this, we're buying our future, and that's always a good thing. Because this, water that we can save down the road is gonna go a long ways to help and build this community. And we're doing a good thing.
I think that the projects that we just voted for, the one thing that I like about them is it's direct to the community, help directly for the people of you, which is, I think what we're all about, so. All right,
So thank you for that. This is 6:45, John, sorry about that. So the one thing I would note is that, so we will revise this table. And we do believe that, we would like to put this out for public comment to make sure that, the public is good with this. And then we will, take it to the governor's office for their consideration.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Doug, going out to the public, good idea, but is it from our discussion in May and June, it was my understanding that because there was sufficient dollars in the recreational column, it would not require a plan amendment.
You are, yes, you are correct there, John, yes.
And,
And
and because the municipal water system, and since we reduced it down, it was less than 10% of the original amount. So that doesn't require a plan amendment. Now, I know there's a difference. But it would seem to me to hold a public meeting at some point, October or November, to just get public comment on the decision we've made is a good idea, always a good idea. But we don't have to go through all the bells and whistles of this plan amendment and the publishing of all that as a formal amendment to the BAO plan, correct?
that is correct. No, we do not have to do the amendment, but, our current, policy and role with the governor's office is that if there is a significant change of funding, they would like, they would like to hear about it. So that's why we are going to take it to the governor's office as well.
Sure,
Yeah,
but will this take the,
we will make it as efficient and as short a time period as we can. Actually, if we could get this done by the end of the year, I think that would be great.
I sure hope so, exactly. And, could it be a part of our next regularly scheduled meeting? In other words, I would like the chair and the BNRC to sponsor this public meeting, calling for comments and asking for comments as just part of our next regularly scheduled meeting, rather than something you would do separate from the BNRC.
Well, then, I haven't thought about this in great detail at this point in time because I didn't know where we were going. But we don't necessarily have to hold a public meeting for this. We could put it out for public comment and scope it. But if we are, because we do need to have one more meeting this year to present the financials to you folks, that would be a great opportunity for the council, as you say, to present this, and we could have that similar public meeting associated with that public comment period. So that is something that we can look at. Yes, yeah. Long story short, yes, we can look at.
And just to be clear, is it the decision of this BNRC to recommend this to you, like we've done tonight, and you took a vote and start planning in earnest with respect to the two projects that they'll have to execute, or not?
So it'd be my recommendation, we can work with you, Silver Bow, on this, but my recommendation is let's get through the public comment period and our presentation to the governor's office before they would start working on it, because we don't have a contract with them at this point.
Well, true.
And so don't want them to be starting work without a contract to get reimbursed for their time.
True, I get all that, but I'm just trying to clarify for the record whether or not additional approvals are necessary.
The final approval is the governor's, the governor giving a thumbs up, but you have made that recommendation. The staff, NRD staff, agrees, we would have liked to see one. We do believe that would be a big benefit for the groundwater resources in the Butte area. But all of these projects that we have put up here meet our legal criteria, meet the BNRC's policy criteria. So yes, I would, these are good recommended projects. But I can't tell Butte Silver Bow to take off and start developing these now because we do not have a contract at this point in time.
Hey,
You guys have made a recommendation and we will carry that recommendation forward through our process and as soon as we can, we'll set up the contracts with B Silver Bow to move forward with these projects.
I make one comment.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, Emmett Reardon, regarding project one, for myself personally, and I think for possibly others on the board, we think it's a good project too. We just don't want to pay for it.
Okay.
You know, what impacts it would have to Diggings East and Northside tailings, and we would like to see it continue and don't know why it was ever stopped. But, yeah, we'd like to see it keep on, but we don't want to pay for it.
Sure. Okay, and that is one thing I did forget to talk about, Emmett, when I did that the last meeting, there was a request there to meet with Atlantic Richfield again about that, and I did talk to them about that. Their position is the same as it was previously, is that they would like to see the other corridor projects completed and the result of those before they would potentially step in and participate in the groundwater pumping at the fair. They'd like to see how their projects are gonna impact the aquifer first.
well, Madam Chair, I would hope too that as they proceed with the projects in the corridor, the Diggings East project, if that comes online in the spring and the North Tailings project, and particularly the BRW, that we know that there's going to be limitations on the use of the capacity of the treatment lagoons to take the dewatered water so they can get at these tailings that they're gonna remove. I can't help but think that the work plan outlined in project one would be very beneficial to them in the execution of those work plans further down the corridor. So I would agree with Emmett that I think that project may find its day as part of the remedy in sync with the execution of the projects downstream on Silver Bow Creek. And in that regard, the ARCO and or MR could contribute greatly to paying for it.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. All right, thank you. You guys have one more action item.
You might have here, Courtney.
No, you did. Yeah, I need to get back to it. So in the 2019 plan amendment, there was a provision in there that the council would be done in 5 years, and that was 2019. So I think it was May of 2024 that the council's expired. So what we have in front of you here is just a motion of whether you want to make a recommendation, which we can include in the public comment and carry forward to the governor's office for you. A recommendation of whether or not you want this council to continue, or you would like to make a recommendation for it to, basically, cease and expire as it's. So, but this is something that the council does have to consider, so this. And this is just my recommendation. I have up there 2 years, Elizabeth. And I talked about this earlier. She didn't think it should be 2 years. She thought it should be a different number of years in which you guys can make any motion you want there. So this is just my guidance on some recommendations.
We have some discussion on this. Go ahead, Bill.
Considering the fact that work that's left to be done isn't gonna be done in 2 years, I, at a bare minimum, think that we should at least be looking at least another 5 years for the council to be able to oversee what's going on. I mean, Blacktail Creek, what are we thinking? Maybe by 2030, it might be done, maybe. And we still have an awful lot of work to do. And plus, we will have, hopefully, we will have funds coming back that can be used for restoration. And we would like to be able to, be around to be able to expend those funds when the time comes, when the remedy is completed. So It's my thinking on it.
So your recommendation is 5 years?
That's what I'm recommending.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Let's start with 5. Yeah, go from there.
Okay. 5 seems reasonable to me. Any comment from you, sister? 5 seem reasonable? You're muted. She's shaking her head.
Is that possible, Doug?
Yeah, we just needed to bring it up as a, your discussion is fine, yeah, but yeah, whatever.
Okay, so would someone like to make a motion to that?
Motion 5 years.
And is there any discussion on that motion? Go ahead, Julie.
Julia Crane, Feet Silver Bow. I'm happy to hear that the BNRC wants to continue. I think that you are all doing and are continuing to do a really great service for youth. I'm in a different position than I was, in the previous years that I came before this board, and I'm seeing firsthand the growth of our opportunities that are ahead of us. And I think restoration is going to play a really important role in ensuring a really positive direction for the future of youth. And I think that there are many projects that I can think of that would be great partnerships for BNRC to be involved with Youth Silverbow and planning for its future. And I'm happy to hear that you'll continue and look forward to talking with you about those as the opportunities available.
We look forward to that as well.
Yeah. I have one comment. The focus of this committee when we got on it was to allocate money for projects. And of late, we spend most of our time fighting over money on spreadsheets. So if that's what we're gonna do in the future, I'm going to resign. If we need to get back to our original mode of getting projects done.
Right. And just Doug, and Emmett, I agree with you, and that was, what kicked this discussion off a year ago. We got the $5.6 million or $5 million sitting there, let's do something with it. So yes, this is what we should be doing, and I will let you know from the program's perspective, we will be out there. There's still going to be money in the BAO fund, that we should be out there looking for other projects to bring in front of you guys if other projects come up. As we're working in the corridor with our partners or working with Youth Silverbow on something, if there's something, so we should be actively looking forward to spending the money on projects. That's what it's for. It's there to be spent. It was always, but I was always taught that these aren't trust funds. We're not setting these aside to, be long-term investments. We should be spending these funds on the ground today, because that's where we're going to see the biggest restoration benefit is. The sooner we can get the funding on the ground, the sooner those resource benefits will be available for folks. Right.
Hey, did we have a second to your motion? Do we have a second to Courtney's? Okay, John seconds.
5-year term extension.
5-year term. All right, we had comment. I think we're ready to vote. All in favor?
I,
Aye. And that one passes unanimously too.
So with that, are there any other comments or questions?
Just that has got to be our fastest meeting ever. Well done, everyone.
Jody?
thank you.